Millicent,
Hmm?
did you know there's a revolver on the table?
Pardon?
A revolver. A gun. Here, on this table.
Oh, yes, so there is.
Were you aware?
I suppose so. Yes, James. I pay it no mind.
How?
How what, dear?
How can you pay it no mind? The revolver on the table.
Oh, that. Oh, well, one simply doesn't, pay it mind. Pay it no mind, it'll mind you no pay.
What does that mean?
I've no idea. Honestly, James, you are being peculiar this evening.
Well, I suppose I am. It's just that there's a revolver on the table, which I find a bit disturbing. I don't recall having ever seen one rest there before, although I suppose one might have, and I might never have noticed it before, which is rather more disturbing a thought than having only now just realized that there is a revolver on the table. Millicent, darling, have we often sat here with a revolver resting on the table?
I dare say we have. After all, I take no notice of it.
Precisely. Is it loaded, do you suppose?
Is what loaded, dear?
The revolver. The one on the table. Do you suppose that it is loaded?
Well, yes, I do suppose it is loaded, James. How could it be a revolver otherwise?
What do you mean? How could it be a revolver otherwise?
It seems to me that a revolver is only a revolver if it is loaded. Otherwise, it is a doorstop or a paperweight or a bludgeon. Are you now telling me that we are discussing a doorstop after having led me to believe that we were discussing a revolver? Really, James, I think you are being obtuse.
I'm sorry, my dear, you're quite right. I'm afraid I am being rather stupid. Of course, it is a revolver. Ergo, it is loaded. Quite. Yes, quite. I wonder, though. Well, suppose we were to take this revolver and use it as a doorstop. Would it cease to be a revolver? Would it become a doorstop with latent revolver tendencies? Or would it remain a revolver, but expressing its inner doorstop?
It's a question.
Yes, it is. Doorstop or revolver? Revolver or doorstop?
My thinking is that a thing is what it is meant to be. And if that thing, this hypothetical revolver turned doorstop in this case, is not what it is meant to be, then it now attains a new identity. Doorstop, paperweight, or bludgeon.
Yes, of course you're quite correct, Millicent, quite correct. But don't you see, this doorstop, nay revolver, must always, or at least very well might, retain its revolverness, you might say, its potential to once again receive ammunition and to fire it straight and true. Mind it, Millicent? At least with greater potential than a doorstop, nay, doorstop would now, don't you agree?
Well, of course, dear James, there is no denying that a doorstop, nay revolver, would naturally be able to return to its former status if only ammunition could be provided. It would want to, naturally. I wonder what doorstop, nay revolver wouldn't. You are correct as always, my love.
And you provide proof of it, as always, my dear. Suppose this revolver isn't a revolver at all. that at this moment it is.
Not a doorstop. Surely you can see that. It's nowhere near a door.
Oh, no, of course, not a doorstop, Millicent. I'm not an absolute dolt. But it could be a paperweight, couldn't it?
Or a bludgeon. You forgot bludgeon.
Oh, bludgeon. Yes, of course. It could be a bludgeon. As to whether it is either of those things would depend upon
The ammunition, whether or not it was loaded. After that had been determined, then one could say that the revolver, if unloaded, had now evolved into a bludgeon or a paperweight.
not necessarily only one of those two options.
Are you saying that an unloaded revolver might perform as both a paperweight and a bludgeon? Really, James?
Well, not at the same time, of course. That would be remarkably inconvenient. Yet, I imagine there are other occupations for unloaded revolvers, other than doorstop or paperweight or bludgeon.
Perhaps, although I can't think of any.
Not very imaginative of you.
I beg your pardon?
Not very imaginative of you. There must be dozens of ways to occupy an unloaded revolver.
Name 3.
Doorstop, paperweight, bludgeon.
We already had those, Mr. Imagination, and I was the one who came up with them. Dozens, you say. So please name 3 more, 3 new ones.
Well, let me think. We have doorstop, bludgeon, paperweight. Well, it could also be, let me think, a hammer.
Bludgeon by another name.
No. Now it's a specific tool. I mean, an unloaded revolver could be used as a hammer, but not as, say, a screwdriver. Admit it, that counts.
Very well, then. But 2 more?
All right. I admit to exaggeration and the fact that you have a far superior imagination than I. Are you happy?
As long as you admit it.
I do. But to get it back to what brought us here, suppose this revolver on the table is not loaded. I mean, suppose it is a potential doorstop or paperweight or bludgeon.
Well, then?
Well, what should we make of it?
Make of it? Do you mean what employment shall we decide to give it?
No, not at all. I mean, what implications does that have? A revolver, possibly loaded, possibly unloaded, rests here on the table between us. And what does it all mean?
Does it have to mean anything? For goodness sakes, James, it's only a revolver.
No, I disagree. We have already discussed how it is not only a revolver. It's a revolver, or it's a doorstop, or a paperweight, or what have you. But why? Why is it with us at all? I mean, seriously, Millicent, it's a revolver. Why is there a gun on the table? What's it doing here? Why have I never seen it before? If in fact it has ever been here before. Millicent, I'm asking you, why is there a gun on the table?
Honestly, James, I wish you would not refer to the firearm as a gun. There is something so rude about that term. You know I prefer revolver.
Millicent!
Very well. I shall tell you why there is a revolver on the table. 30-odd years ago, we both agreed to love, honor, and obey each other, for better or worse, through sickness and health, till death do us part. I still honor that agreement.
As do I.
Naturally. However, I did not agree to deadly evenings spent knitting my way to oblivion while you read the financial section of the newspaper as if any of that information affected you, and doing those things as if we were only biding our time until death.
Millicent, darling, I love our evenings together. Nothing makes me happier.
I know, dear James, and that is why 7 years ago, I bought a revolver.
This revolver?
Indeed, this very one.
Oh my.
This revolver has kept our marriage intact.
Our marriage?
Indeed, James, it has. Every day while you putter about the garden or visit down at the pub or do the shopping, while you're away, I like to take the revolver out and look at it. I look at it while you're away, and I feel free to imagine.
Imagine.
Oh, yes, James, I really do have a marvelous imagination. I really do. I look at this revolver and I imagine all the possibilities, loaded or unloaded, a revolver or a bludgeon, or perhaps only a paperweight, a lethal weapon, or a household convenience, an accident, or an assassination waiting to happen. What if someone else finds it? What if that person is you? Oh, James, I imagine lots of possibilities.
But why, Millicent? Why?
The third act, James, the third act.
The third act.
You remember the canard about playwriting? If you put a revolver on stage in the first act, someone better be shot by the third. It means you can't put something out there and then ignore it. I've put a revolver on stage and you can't ignore it.
Are you going to kill me, Millicent?
I rather think not, James, because I do love you truly. But I need you to think about me like that revolver. I need you to wonder about me. Is she a revolver or a doorstop or a paperweight?
A bludgeon?
Or yes, a bludgeon or hammer. Just don't ignore me, James, please.
A revolver on the table. A revolver. Millicent, the revolver. May I refer to you as a pistol?
Oh, I'd rather you not. That sounds so sexual.
You're quite right, sorry.
Quite all right.
Millicent, I'm sorry if you feel neglected or taken for granted. I promise I shall try to keep in mind the revolver on the table.
That's all I ask. Shall I put it away?
No, Millicent, I think not. I'm thinking perhaps I too shall enjoy looking at the revolver.
And imagining the possibilities.
Imagining the possibilities.
Oh, hi! I didn't see you there. I'm director and caterer Sarah Campbell. Wasn't that a thrilling performance of Theater Knoxville Downtown presents Knoxville playwright Margy Ragsdale's A Gun on the Table with Windie Wilson and Jaynes? Can you believe they weren't even in the same theater together? I can't either. As a matter of fact, both actors were broadcasting from the comfort and safety of their own home. What a technological marvel of theater. Oh, and speaking of theaters, did you know that Theater Knoxville Downtown relies on support from viewers like you? Thank you. Every performance of Theater Knoxville Downtown presents Knoxville playwright Margy Ragsdale's A Gun on the Table with Windie, Millicent and Jaynes is offered to you for your viewing pleasure free of charge. Unfortunately, the theater's utilities and rent are not free of charge. We will continue to work hard to find new and creative ways to bring Theater Knoxville Downtown into your home during these uncertain times. So please visit theaterknoxville.com and click donate to help us ensure that when it's safe enough, we'll all get back in the theater and we'll start doing live performances for a live audience. In fact, I am going to donate right now.